to eventually take down Creighton in 4 sets. Tonight, the Bruins are in town as two tradition-rich programs square off. UCLA and Nebraska. Volleyball's next. NCAA volleyball tonight, live from the Bob Devaney Sports Center in Lincoln, Nebraska, for a Pac-12 Big Ten showcase as the UCLA Bruins travel to take on number 2 Nebraska. And hello again, everyone. I'm Larry Putney, along with former Husker Kathy Wieskamp. Great to have you with us back here for the second night in a row at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. Two teams that started off very differently last night. UCLA losing to Baylor, Nebraska with a 3-1 win over Creighton. But this is a UCLA team that is tradition-rich, and they typically have some of the top talent in the nation, like Mac May.
Mac May is an outside attacker. She's really their top attacker. They really go to her. She's going to get a lot of sets. Last night she had 9 kills, 6 digs. They're going to really look to her to produce in this match tonight.
Well, we saw the kind of the spark plug last night. Nicklin Hames had a big night.
Nicklin Hames came out very sharp. She was all over the floor. She had 35 assists, 15 digs, double-double for her. That's her 26th in her career. She really comes out with that fire, that spark, and she really makes this team work.
Night number 2 of NCAA volleyball from the Bob Devaney Sports Center. It was a beautiful football Saturday in the capital city, and now we finish it with volleyball. UCLA Nebraska is coming up next. Well, part of this Husker Invitational, there are 2 other teams, or 3 other teams in town, Creighton, Baylor, and of course UCLA. Earlier tonight, it was Baylor and Creighton doing battle, and boy, Presley was impressive for Baylor. She finishes with 19 kills. And Yossi Presley leads number 20 Baylor over 18th ranked Creighton in similar straight sets, all 25-20. Here's a look at the AVCA coaches poll, national poll. Stanford, of course, the defending national champ. They're on top. Nebraska is ranked number 2 in the preseason. Minnesota was ranked number 3. That will change in the next poll, as earlier tonight, Minnesota lost in straight sets to Florida State. We'll talk more about that later tonight. You see Texas at number 4, but the representation, Kathy, of the Big Ten Conference, even within this top 8, with Penn State, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Nebraska, is impressive.
It's incredible. The Big Ten Conference just continues to produce tough programs, teams, day in, day out. It will be a battle. And it's exciting to see, though, all those listed in that top 10.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups. First for the Bruins of UCLA. Holly Hare is the starting setter. Jenny Mosser Savvy Simo, Mac May out of Iowa is the outside hitter. Emily Ryan, Tristan Savage, and Kelly Berry is the libero. Michael Seeley is the head coach for the UCLA Bruins. 198-90 in his career. Of course, one of the top setters in UCLA men's volleyball history. Won a national championship when he was playing for the Bruins, and now in his 10th season in leading the women's program. Nebraska, similar starting lineup to last night. Nicklin Hames, Maddie Kubik in the starting lineup. Lexi Sun and Jazz Sweet, Schwarzenbach at the middle, along with Stivrins and Kinsey Knuckles. The freshman, once again tonight, the starting libero. In his 20th season at Nebraska, there are the numbers for John Cook. Trying to lead this team to a 5th straight NCAA Final Four. Previously not accomplished 4 in a row. John Cook has led this program to 4 consecutive Final Four. Should have a good one here tonight as the Bruins and the Huskers. These two teams met 2 years ago, back in 2017 here at the Devaney Sports Center. Actually, they played one night, and then one of the teams that was going to follow it played the next night ended up not coming, and so Nebraska played them on back-to-back nights, swept both of those matches against a Bruins team when Mac May at the time was just a freshman, but also in the starting lineup.
I was going to say, she was out there on the court, though.
She's a recruit that Nebraska went after hard, and there you see the first swing goes to Mac May, and then it's put down by Emily Ryan. And there is the story of the 5-time national champs playing UCLA, who has won this 4 times national title. So between these two teams, make 9 if you do the easy math.
So some rich tradition in both programs.
Ames sets behind her. Here's Lexi Sun right between the block that did not get closed. Easy shot there for Lexi Sun.
And nice fast tempo ball here. Sun really slices it right between the blockers. She's got a smaller blocker in front of her in Simo, and will probably be taking advantage of that throughout the night.
Around the quick in the middle to Ryan. Ryan's swing is wide.
Ryan started this match off with a power swing, fast, got right on top of the ball. Notice how fast her arm is. She missed her mark here, but she's got a very quick arm there in the middle.
Just a sophomore, she went cross country to go to college. She's from Bethesda, Maryland, and traveled all the way to LA to play for these Bruins. Mac May on the back row, just a tip, not there. Here's Nebraska star freshman Maddie Kubik from that left side, nothing there, and the swing is wide as Savvy Simo, who has played primarily back row for UCLA through the first 3 years of her career, is now moving into a 6 rotation role. Simo was part of a beach national championship team for UCLA.
She's 5'10", so again, a little bit undersized, but she's been very successful. She had 9 kills along with May last night.
A touch try kind of breezed by. Jenny Moser with the kill. Moser was also part of that Bruins team. Here's a look at the nice pass off of a very tough serve for the Huskers and Moser's kill.
Moser does a nice job pushing it into the block and then swiping it out of bounds.
Schwarzenbach with the kill. Got to get Schwarzenbach going a bit more tonight, as she was fairly quiet through 2 sets last night, and Nebraska really didn't run the middles much through the first 2 sets, and finally they found the connection, certainly with Stivrins.
But Schwarzenbach really didn't have a lot of swings, a lot of opportunities last night. And I know Coach Cook is always looking those middles. If you can get the middles active, it really diversifies your offense. It opens things up out at the pins for the outside attackers.
Jazz Sweet found that open hole, and Sweet with the kill.
Sweet does a nice job going underneath the block. Ball is pushed back to her, but a little bit inside, and with that left hand she comes in hard and takes that angle across and really was able to get underneath the block.
Freshman Kinsey Knuckles from Yorktown, Indiana with the serve. Has already won the starting libero job here in her freshman year on campus. An early enrollee, came in earlier this year to get acclimated to the program and to school and travel with the team to Asia. It has certainly paid off. They're just going to say no touch there, and it's wide point for UCLA. Rare hitting error from Stivrins. You just don't see that often.
Well, and she just didn't have a lot of court there to work with. They were so pushed off to the side that she really had a very narrow lane to even get contact with the court.
Jazz one-on-one and delivers.
Great job there. Again, split the blockers with the offense, running Stivrins on that slide to the outside. She's here. That leaves that big hole for the block. As a middle blocker sticks with Stivrins, you got to respect her. Gives Jazz Sweet that opening. That's what we talk about, getting those middles active and helping those outsides. Great up.
The top of the block into the net called on the Bruins. Well, we saw last night, Kathy, how good this Nebraska defense could be. In fact, Kirsten Bernthal Booth in her post-game comments talked about how dynamic she thought Nebraska's defense was, and we're seeing that here early in set one tonight.
Knuckles has just been all over already tonight. And then last night, talking about that match, Hames, too. She was so, committed to pursuing that ball and getting her hand on the ball.
What a smart shot there from Maddie Knuckles, who just brushes it off the block and gets the kill. I said Maddie Cubic brushes it off the block.
Those freshmen.
That's right. Good start for Nebraska. They're on top here at home, 8-3. Back to the Devaney Sports Center. Nebraska on top in the middle of an 8-2 run. You know, it's been a tough go here these last few months at the setter position for UCLA. And last night, it got even worse when their starting setter, Kylie Thompson, rolled her ankle. You can see it there watching slow-mo here after the set. She rolls that right ankle. Actually took her to the hospital, and no serious damage. There's a severe sprain, so she's going to be out tonight and probably out for a few weeks, but at least she will be back. So they're starting a backup setter in Holly Hare. And what makes it even more difficult is last year's starting setter for UCLA, Kylie Miller, transferred in the offseason. She went to Minnesota to replace Sam Seliger-Swenson, who we all know was terrific in the Big Ten Conference and led Minnesota to a terrific season in the Final Four last year. She's replacing Seliger-Swenson. And today, early on in her setting career at Minnesota, they lose to Florida State in 3 sets.
Wow.
It's tough to get acclimated early on, right?
Oh, definitely. And again, you talk about setters, running systems, making those connections with the hitters. It's definitely just a different program, a different look, a different style.
And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find another team in the country that has as talented of hitters as Minnesota does. Pin to pin in the middle across the board. I mean, she has so many weapons there, but if you don't have that consistent routine and connection with your setter, you're going to struggle.
And just the chemistry, and they really haven't had a whole lot of time to make those connections and that feel.
Violation in the net. Back to serve is Stivrins. Check that Cubic. Cubic back to serve for Nebraska. She may be a freshman, but she carries herself with confidence on the floor that is beyond her first year in college.
I would say both these freshmen on the court, you would have no idea they are freshmen. They are very poised, both Cubic and Knuckles. fit in seamlessly, confident, strong in their move. Talk about
Joust at the net, won by Stivrins.
strong move there by Stivrins, goes up and just pushes. This is a tough ball as it comes back in play. It's really right on the top of the tape. And in those situations, you got to stay with it, hang on, push the last, be the last push to get the win.
Getting significant time there at middle, and here she is here with the swing is Savage. And she is a bit of a savage at 6'7". She is a middle out of Dallas, Oregon, Dallas High School, red-shirted last year, so this is her redshirt freshman year, but at 6'7", she has a presence there in the middle.
And intensity, you know, like,
fire.
yeah, there's fire there, intensity, and that long arm, that lever. Her contact point is so high.
Aggressive swing the other side from McMay, not down. Sun again with the left-handed tip, tosses it right into the donut.
Great up there by Kubik to lead into that big swing. Look at that, lays it out, pops it up. Out of system, but again gives her team the opportunity, and Sun takes it. Ball not in great condition, but betters the ball.
Ace back line. Stivrins got the ace.
Last year, Stivrins served quite frequently in this rotation. In the match last night, we saw different faces come in there and take on that serving role. So still trying to figure those decisions out.
Lexi Sun pulled just inside a bit. Goes straight down off the block. UCLA will take another timeout, and Nebraska here early by 8, 13-5 over the Bruins. We'll be back here in Lincoln. It's been all Nebraska early on. There's a look at the head coach of the UCLA Bruins, Michael Seeley, in his 10th season. We said one of the top setters in UCLA history back in 90 through 93. He was the co-captain and the MVP back in 93. Played on the U.S. national team for 3 years, won a national championship. You were talking about the success he's had as a coach, won a national title in 2011.
Right, 2011, won that national championship in just his second year coaching. He comes with history from Hawaii as an associate head coach there. So definitely some experience and success.
It was a tough season last year for them. They're coming off a 13-14 season. And this year picked to finish 7th in the Pac-12. They were 8-12 inside the conference last year. So it was definitely a rough last year. He's got another young team this year. And as we talked about earlier with his setter leaving, and now his starting setter injured as Kubik gets blocked out of the back row. Good block by Emily Ryan, the middle out of Bethesda, Maryland. 6'4" sophomore.
Ryan, she lines it up. Kubik really driving forward, but Ryan really did a great job. If you kind of watched her eyes, she's watching and lined up right on that shoulder. Good setup. Put her in good position.
Nebraska out of system, rolls it over. As is UCLA now. Can McMay bail him out? And she does. Always nice to have a player like McMay out of that left pin. You can toss it up to out of system, and she's going to deliver most times.
She's just so aggressive, dynamic on that left side. She gets off and look, she waits for that explosiveness. Allows her to really get good elevation.
And the ace for the Bruins. So UCLA out of the timeout with 3 straight points. 13-8 now. On the serve of the setter, who also plays right side, Holly Hare. Good pass there from Kubik. On the second touch, not down.
Great push there by Hames.
And wide or long, check that long from Lexi Sun. And after 4 in a row from the Bruins, Nebraska will now take a timeout at 13-9. We talked about Mac May, number 14 for the Bruins. Nice to have someone out of that left hand. You can kind of toss it up, and it's going to terminate at a high rate. She was all Pac-12 first team last year. Led the team in kills per set, led them in aces, in digs per set, just an all-around player. And Nebraska, by the way, recruited Mac May hard. She's from Dubuque, Iowa, that tradition-rich program in Iowa, Dubuque Wahlert Catholic, which Wahlert had won so many state championships in Iowa. She camped at Nebraska several times, and John Cook, when she came here in 2017, before UCLA got here, commented on how hard they went after May, but she had her heart set on the coast and has been a terrific player for the Bruins.
Going from Iowa out to the coast, just again, experience something a little bit different. And she's really done a tremendous job for him. As you mentioned earlier, she was on the floor right away as a freshman, got playing time, and played a key role early on, even in her career.
Wahlert won the state championship her senior year. Get this, in her senior year in high school, she averaged 26 kills per match. And she was named the MVP that year in Iowa.
Yeah, that's a 6.8 kills per set. I mean, 6.8.
Right.
Feed the girl the ball, right?
Mm-hmm. Hare with another tough serve, but that into the net. Had some movement on it, but just too much movement.
Well, effective timeout. Hare had a nice little run there. Slowed things down with that timeout by Nebraska.
Nebraska currently with 4 players with more, or 2 kills or more, multiple kills. UCLA with no one who has more than 1 right now. The Bruins hitting .087, and that will go down after the error by Emily Ryan.
You know, and this UCLA team is just trying to figure out too, with a different setter in the system and those connections, especially with middles, that's one that has to be just trained and become habit, and to know really where that hitter wants it. And even though you've been in those roles in practice, you just haven't been the lead running that offense up to this point.
That was a better shot from Lexi Sun. She found the line that time.
Looks like she took a little bit off of the ball, and then great control as she took that down the line. Here you can see just a great up by Hames. We talked about last night, she was all over the floor. It wasn't just with her feet to run the system with the ball, but it also defensively. She is one of those players that's so disciplined with playing defense first and then releasing to do her job as an offensive setter running the ball.
Mac May with a quick arm swing there on the quick set. Blasted it through before Nebraska's block could get there, and now May back to serve for the Bruins. Yeah, we talked about it last night, you know, just in terms of how much Hames is involved in Nebraska's floor defense. And you wonder, you know, is that a healthy thing for Nebraska? Would they like her to be less involved defensively? She's outstanding at it, but you don't always want your setter consistently and continually digging balls.
Right, and the opponents are hitting at her, obviously.
Yeah.
They're going to pursue and hit at her, knowing that then they have to have somebody step in and make that play. But the problem is she gets the ball up. Yeah. You know, so you get one advantage. You know, you're not going to maybe get kills, but you do at least take them out of system a little bit. But she pursued balls to the stands and to the end of the baseline last night. She has that mentality of, I dig so that we can play.
Better connection there from Hames to Schwarzenbach. That was a bit of a struggle last night, the connection between those two, and we've seen it early on here a couple of times tonight. It's getting better.
And it's just, again, finding where they like it, knowing where they are, and in that quick middles, you got to just make sure you're moving along the net, as well as an attacker based on that pass.
Swing is long. Point for Nebraska. They're on top now, 19-10 here in set number 1. Schwarzenbach, by the way, 3 kills on 3 swings. Nebraska currently in a 5-1 run since that last time out. Short serve. Good cover there by the Bruins. Capri Davis, one of her first swings of the match. Dug by May in the back row. And Nebraska the first to 20. One of the things Sun has really been working on is consistency. Did not clear the net. Had open floor there, just Schwarzenbach couldn't get it across the net.
Yep, she knew where that open area was, just missed the mark.
Her first hitting error. She's now 3 kills on 4 swings, hitting .500. Steverns now back in for Schwarzenbach. So here's Knuckles now to serve. One of the things that Kinsey Maloney was so good at last year is when Nebraska was out of system. She was very good bump setting out of system, getting Nebraska a hittable ball. It's one of the things that you're starting to see develop with Knuckles. And especially as much floor defense as Hames has been playing. Little doubt there, connection between the two captains, Hames and Steverns.
And just the strength that you see in Steverns. She gets off the net, and as she rotates that shoulder, opens it so far, that's what adds to her power as she drives through the ball.
Good quick run between Hare and Savage.
Hare and Savage have had a nice connection so far in this match tonight. Savage doing a great job. She's got that long arm like we talked about. She's 6'7", so Hare can throw it up there and she can go after it.
Well, the length that we've seen with the middle blocker position in recent years continues to get remarkable. How athletic some of these very tall, lanky players are. Obviously, Dana Retke at Wisconsin comes to mind at 6'8", and she spent time with the Olympic team, you know, in this offseason, so she clearly is set to have a terrific year at Wisconsin. But, you know, even Savage here, and just as a freshman, very fluid out there at 6'7" for UCLA.
I mean, you think that a body that long, those long levers and so forth, would not be as coordinated, but very coordinated, very smooth. I say the same thing, too, about Steverns. She's 6'4", but she looks like she's a 6-footer in her movement patterns.
Well, it has been a dominant set number 1 here for this Nebraska team. Huskers are hitting 254 to UCLA's 57. Try to close it out here in set number 1 at set point. And they'll get a free ball to do it. One-on-one and delivered by Davis. What an impressive set number 1 for this Nebraska team. They hit 306 in the first set to UCLA's 57 and win set number 1 convincingly, 25-12. Well, here's a picture that was taken just yesterday of U.S. Volleyball's girls' youth and women's national teams. And Kathy, it's amazing how many Huskers and future Huskers are in this picture.
Absolutely. We got former Huskers. You can see a few faces back there. Kelsey Robinson in the back. Justine Wang Narantes.
You also have, obviously, Jordan Larson. Michaela Fecki, Kelsey Robinson in the back. And then how about the upcoming future Huskers? You have Kennedy Orr. There's Kennedy. You checked her, her. And Lexi Rodriguez in the front row. And, of course, out of Omaha, Scott, Lindsay Krause. So there's three. And also Allison Jacobs, who is going to attend UCLA. Just put a circle there. So several former Huskers on Team USA, future Huskers on the youth Team USA team. That's impressive.
Very impressive, and again, like you said, exciting too, just to see the future.
Yeah.
Kids that are already in that program will be wearing that red jersey, or red and white jersey in the future.
And here's a look at those who have been on the U.S. national team and played under John Cook. Of course, Gracia Sapera was here with us last night. Metcalf, Stalls, Larson, still on the team, has been there since 2009. She's had just a remarkable career. Of course, Caleb Banworth, who is now an assistant here. Kelsey Robinson still on the team, as is Rolfson, Wong-Arantes, the other Rolfson, and the newest member, Michaela Fecki, who is in line to make the Olympic team in what will be her first year on Team USA. That's pretty impressive.
Yep, absolutely. She just continues to develop. Here we get a great shot from Lexi Sun from that right side in that rotation. Hames has no hesitation to push it back there and utilize her from that right side.
May with the tip. There's an aggressive swing by Davis.
Davis taking that high hand shot. But key here is, again, stepping in, and Nebraska out of system, still getting a shot up, and we're seeing Kinsey Knuckles have to do that quite frequently.
That was a nice swing by Emily Ryan with the kill in the middle, put UCLA on the board here in set number 2.
Ryan's working hard there up in the middle. That's her second kill.
Well, much of the success for UCLA tonight has been run through the middle. The middles have been effective.
Mac May is on the outside, but other than that,
Savage and Ryan have really led the way. Block on the outside by Schwarzenbach and Davis.
Definitely close things up there.
That's that swing by Simo on the outside, and as you mentioned, an undersized outside at just 5'10", but
tough to get around that block. You're going to have to use or go high hands, but that ball was a little bit tight, which doesn't give you that high hand shot even as an option.
Overpass. Stevrins puts it down. Stevrins has had more kills and swings in the first set tonight than she did in the first 2 combined last night. It was slow getting her going, but when they did last night, she had an outstanding night. Hit above 500. She's over 500 here tonight. 571.
Team currently in this set is hitting 750, a cumulative 366, so very effective offensively.
Ace by Knuckles.
Look at the floater ball. Comes and drops quickly. Very tough to handle.
Readjusted. Hames runs the quick, punched at. Good cover by Hames. But Nebraska cannot keep it up. Point for the Bruins.
That ball came up. Just reacting to that ball. I think Hames got her hand on it, but Stivrins was
trying to get the kick.
Yep. Ready to assist her.
Third service error here early in set number 2 in the match for UCLA. That's the third service error. Nebraska with no service errors. It's a welcome change from last night when they had 11 service errors. Well, both Creighton and Nebraska served tough last night. Back to Davis. Great pancake up. Davis again, one-on-one.
We talk about great defense. Both sides are pursuing that ball, getting to the floor, but great finish here by Capri Davis.
Good decision there by Hames, too. Had Stivrins running on the slide. Looked like that might have been open. The ace there by Megan Miller. Looked like the slide might have been open, but Hames pushed back to the pin behind her. Had Davis one-on-one, and Davis is hitting 375. And UCLA will take a timeout with Nebraska out to a quick lead once again here in set number 2. It's 8-2 Nebraska. Back at Devaney, I want to remind you, coming up here at the intermission right after this second set, we'll have a review of the McCook spring match, and we'll also, at the backside of the intermission, talk with Kelly Hunter, Nebraska's graduate assistant, former All-American setter, Big Ten setter of the year back in 2017. That'll be a great conversation. Interested to find out what brought her back into the volleyball world. I know Coach John Cook has said many times he thought she would be an outstanding coach and has encouraged her multiple times to get into coaching, as she finally fell to the pressure.
Made that transition. Well,
back aces for Miller. Well, last night it was Hames going back to back to back with aces. Let's see if Miller has an opportunity to do that here. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Nope, we're good.
All right.
We'll talk more about Kelly and that intermission.
Better pass there.
Carried.
Point Nebraska. Carried.
Sat there just a little bit too long. A little bit low. Not a lot that Savage could do. Changes setters here, excuse me.
So into the match here, yeah, for the Bruins is Devin Chang, number 5 to set for UCLA. This is a 5-0 Nebraska run. Good run here again by Miller at the service line. Chang sets behind her. Battle, good cover. Hames out to Davis. Out of the back row, that was blasted, but great dig by the Bruins, and it leads to the point. So there is Devin Chang. She's a sophomore out of Newport Beach, California. Santa Maria Catholic School. She came on last night when Thompson was injured. Looks like they decided tonight to start with Holly Hare. And now she is in the match to serve.
Just trying to get something going. Bruins offense is just really struggling. They're hitting 68 for the match.
Wow. Little chance there. Davis one-on-one over the setter, just pounds it home.
Those are a lot of fun, I have to say. But look at one-on-one situation.
You can just see the inexperience too of Savage cheating with the Stivern slide every time, and Davis is getting some open looks on that left pin.
Absolutely, and we talk about that all the time, is that those middles really can give those outsides some big advantages.
Well, it's clear, you know, UCLA is still struggling to find some sort of rhythm given the setter situation. That's why Chang coming in here, just difficult to be on the road in this environment early in the season, and you just lost your starting setter last night. Swing is long, and the run continues for Nebraska, now 13-3. Nebraska with 6 players in double-digit kills. UCLA with 3. Out of the back row, there's McMay.
That's her 3rd kill, so really Nebraska's really kept her quiet. And just the entire UCLA offense has just really been contained. This current set, they're hitting 0. As I mentioned, they're hitting 43 overall. Just really struggling.
Into the net, called on UCLA. Back to serve now goes Stivrins.
Lexi Sun on that outside really drives in, and she's been so aggressive with it that catches the block off, and you see in that situation Savage is just trying to hang up there, and that got her out of balance and into the net.
Tip again, good cover there by Moser. May powers it off the block and out. Good job of tooling it by May.
Nice fast tempo there. Also, Chang really pushed it to May and gave her an opportunity to really be quick and drive that ball.
Yeah, great tempo on that set to the pin. Driving serve right on the pass out of the back row. Kubik. Dug by UCLA, and then May again. And you can see when May starts to warm up how dominant she can be. Those are back-to-back heavy swings from McMay.
And then look at the follow-up, her and Chang communicating about what just went on. That's what we need to do. That's where I like it.
Mac's just making it hurt a little more for these Husker fans here. That's all she's doing. We're that close is what they're thinking. Hames back to serve. Overpass, wide. Boy, Schwarzenbach had a golden opportunity to put that down. Plenty of open floor and just hit wide.
All the blockers and all the court was open on that right side.
Yeah. Here's Devin Chang. Her sister Peyton played at Stanford for 3 years. And we will see her sister later this year in the Big Ten Conference because her sister has since transferred from Stanford to Northwestern. She's a graduate transfer playing at Northwestern. Played 3 seasons at Stanford and then made the transfer. Comfortable lead here in set number 2 for Nebraska. On top 16-8, hitting .321 in the match to UCLA's 80.080. Here is May to serve. Both team's a bit out of system here. Back in here is UCLA. Run the quick middle and just wide. Thought they had it there to Emily Ryan. Ryan in her sophomore season played just 4 matches last year. Had a career high 10 kills against USC and Colorado. She'll be one of the focal points this year for this Bruins squad at the middle, both Ryan and Savage. If they can stay in system. They did right there. And Davis with the block.
Here you can see Davis stayed in tight to assist. So they got a double block up on Ryan. And as an outside, you got to kind of read in and see that approach coming in. And sometimes you're able to be the one helping with that middle.
Yes.
Good touch on the block for the Huskers. Rolled over. Chang with the bump set out to the pin. Great dig by Nichols off of the swing of Lexi Hedrick.
Nichols again.
Chased it down to keep it alive. Free ball here for the Huskers. One-on-one sweep, put it down. Again, great decision by Haynes.
Just reading the situation, and we talked about she's really becoming much more comfortable in her role, and her feet are better. So now she can start looking at where blockers are going, where openings are, knowing what's happening in rotations. She really just makes her hitters look great by the decision she makes.
Talk about that change that she kind of tweaked her, and the work that she did in the offseason, talking about Nick Haynes to get her feet to the ball, and what benefit has that had?
Well, incredible, because then you're in the same position every time. When your feet are to the ball, then you have choices. You're in an ideal position. If you're chasing out after it, then the ball and your hand contact is in a different location. So I sometimes am limited by that, especially if I'm trying to go back or whatever. So the feet are key for any setter to be a great setter.
There's Davis with another kill off the top of the block. She now has 6 kills, leads or tied with Lexi Sun for the lead in kills, hitting 400. Here's the impressive part for Capri Davis is she does not have a hitting error tonight. 6 kills on 14 swings, hitting 429.
And she really needs to, again, thank her middle, Stivrins. Stivrins, they're really respecting Stivrins and making sure they stick with her and giving a weaker or one-on-one situation. And she's following through and doing what she needs to do in those situations.
Third ace of the night for Miller. She had back-to-back aces earlier. Nebraska's 4th ace of the match. And that's just wide. Long.
Back to UCLA, number 4, Jenny Moser.
There's 3 aces for Miller, have tied her career high. She had 3 aces against Creighton last year in one match. Just inside the back line on a kill by May.
May's aggressive. She's in the back row right now, but you would have no, I mean, she's like an additional front row attacker in that pipe position.
Good up by Knuckles. Free ball over. Let's see what UCLA does with it. Chang pushes out to the pin. Tooling the block is Hedrick.
Chang really has a nice tempo ball going to that outside. She's really giving her hitters an advantage by getting out to the outside in a great pace. It's a low flat ball. And right now, Haynes in the front row to a smaller blocker that's low flat. Find her hands and take it out of bounds.
UCLA with 3 freshmen in this starting lineup right now, with Hedrick, who is entered in this set number 2. There's May powering out of the back row. UCLA gaining a bit of confidence here in set number 2. maybe a bit late here at 21-13, but certainly gaining momentum for set number 3.
You know, we've talked about just how defense is so important. Here's Knuckles, again, pursuing all the way to the bench. Defense wins matches.
We're in set number 2, Nebraska in control. Back to the Devaney Sports Center, Husker fans will certainly remember this name, Megan Pendergast. Megan began her career at Nebraska as a libero, spent 1 year here in Lincoln, then transferred to Texas A&M, where she completed her volleyball career, was the starting libero for A&M in 59 of the 62 matches in which she was on campus in College Station. And in her first year now as an assistant coach and recruiting coordinator for the Bruins.
Let's go.
Davis between the block. A little heat on that one from Capri.
She elevates so well, gets up, and then that quick arm swing. Look at her, look how high her hips are. Elevates that contact point.
Let's go.
Kubik with the serve. Good pass from Dodson. Swing is wide. And Nebraska now 2 away from going up 2-0. He rolls it out of the back row. Out of the back row for Nebraska. Right into the campfire.
Kubik does a great job recognizing completely open in that middle of the court. This entire area wide open. Everybody drives and look at pursuing that spot.
Set point for Nebraska. Kubik to serve. Boy, great effort and a nice kill on that left pin from Pedrick. Pedrick will now come out, and into the game is Simo. Savi Simo, who was playing outside and now using her more of a back row here in set number 2. Ace for Simo. Third set point here for Nebraska. Apple steps in to take the pass. And the block on the right side. A hand on it from Devin Chang.
I love the intensity of Savage.
We saw John Cook telling his team to pass the ball. Kubik does on point on the slide. Good dig of Stivrins. May Pushes it wide. Rare error from Mac May leads to Nebraska winning set number 2. Huskers hitting .299 in the match. UCLA 077. Nebraska's been dominant, winning the first 2. They lead it 2-0 as we head to intermission. We're back at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. Intermission here. Nebraska has been dominant in winning the first 2 sets, 25-12 and 25-16. You know, John Cook has made a tradition of going west in the state to compete in the annual spring match. Well, in April, the Huskers headed to southwest Nebraska, where McCook played host to the national runner-up.
As you come out to southwest Nebraska, we all start waving at you, and that's what we're about. Is we're very welcoming, and we'd love everybody to come and see what a great place McCook and southwest Nebraska is.
The Nebraska fans have all come together to make this a once-in-a-lifetime potentially event for McCook.
And so all the electricity's in the air, believe me, it's all over town.
It didn't take long to notice Southwest Nebraska is extremely passionate about Husker volleyball.
It all started about 3 years ago when they went to Ogallala. I got a thought in my mind going, why not in McCook?
Bob Elder led the charge, persuading the 5-time national champions to Red Willow County.
I think Bob wanted like 100 tickets and just wanted to pass them out to people on the streets. That's pretty cool to be the person that brought them here and how much it's affecting so many people.
The closer we got, the more people started talking about it. And of course, I don't know how many people asked me if they could buy tickets from me. And I said, I'm not a broker. I'm just the guy that lit a fire around here. That's all I did.
Here's the serve. You got to nail it. It's on one.
In Lincoln, Coach Cook started preparations for the 2019 Nebraska volleyball spring match. On the other side of the state, fans were buzzing when the Huskers officially announced the game will be played in McCook.
Not kidding, probably had 100 calls that week. Everybody was talking about ticket sales and how packed it is and just the environment that Southwest Nebraska can bring to a Nebraska volleyball game.
We're out and about that Friday night, the night before the tickets went on sale. There were just a lot of cars parked up here, lots of traffic going both directions, just kind of monitoring the facility. And I said, let's just go out there. Let's just go sit. Let's make it an experience. So we got here, got all of our blankets and chairs and everything unpacked, and then we just started seeing people scrambling out of those vehicles.
We knew people were excited, but we didn't know the extent that people would go to wait for tickets. And so then we knew that this is a really big deal. Like, this is rock stars coming to McCook.
More than 12 hours in sub-zero temperatures, 1,500 seats sold out in just 55 minutes.
Just the excitement that this community and surrounding area has had is unreal.
Nebraska won the match 3-1. Nebraska volleyball paid tribute to Husker Nation by taking the show on the road to celebrate a hidden gem in the southwest corner of the state.
Literally everyone in Nebraska is so supportive of Husker athletics, and just to see all these people come out here and take time out of their day to set up for us and be here is just, I can't put it into words. It's awesome.
Big shout out to McCook. You guys, it's been one of the greatest trips we've had.
I'm a guy that wears my emotions on my sleeve sometimes, and it was pretty emotional for sitting with my kids and watching the game. And when we put this together, we said we're going to make this right, and I really feel like we did.
Well, it's always a great opportunity when Nebraska takes volleyball to the rest of the state, and it's great to see the reaction from fans across the entire state of Nebraska. We are getting ready for set number 3. The Huskers have taken the first 2, and we are joined now for set number 3 by former All-American setter and 2017 Big Ten Setter of the Year, Kelly Hunter. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So I'm curious, what brought you back into the program?
I think obviously there's no place like Nebraska, and everyone always says that, but volleyball and coaching is what I know, and I kind of wanted to get an inside look at what the coaching side would be. Obviously, I know from a player's point of view, but I wanted to kind of see what it would be like from the other side.
So Coach Cook has said, for as long as I've known him, as long as he's known you, that you're going to be a great coach someday, and I know he's encouraged you to get into coaching. Is that something you're now considering?
Yeah, part of my role here is just to finish school and kind of help out and set up stuff on the court and do all that. But for me personally, it's like to get an inside look, and I'm kind of weighing the pros and cons and seeing all the good, the bad, the ugly, the stuff that I never saw as a player. So kind of just giving it a little trial run.
So he's slowly wearing you down?
No, not yet. It's still early in the season, so not yet.
What are some of the things, too, that already you've identified? Like you said, what's behind the scenes? You've been in the player side, but what all, nobody ever really knows what all that coaches are doing behind the scenes as they prepare to work with the players and then, again, obviously perform.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, as a player, practice ends, you eat dinner, you shower, you go home. And as a coach, you're up there meeting and you're scouting and you're doing all of that. And you're here at 11 or even earlier to scout and watch film from the week before. So it's demanding as a student athlete, and it's even more demanding as a coach.
Point there by UCLA. Nebraska on top here in set number 3, 2-1. Talk about the change or the difference from last night to a lot sharper, more crisp tonight, it would seem.
Yeah, I think the first real match in Devani with so many new players and so many freshmen, obviously there's always some nerves there, and I know this group, they have some high expectations and they want to be great, and a lot of that is there's some pressure there. So I think it's kind of just getting in the groove and playing in front of 8,000 plus people and shaking those nerves a little bit.
Roll shot by Lexi Sun, 3-1 now Nebraska. You know, Lexi has tended to be high error in her career. I know she's really trying to be more consistent. We've seen a bit of that tonight too.
Yeah, I think she is a player who goes up and she takes big rips and she takes chances, and that's kind of the player that you want to have on your side of the court. And obviously it works for you sometimes and it doesn't other times, but taking rips, I love it.
Ace by Sun.
You know, thinking from a coach's lens now, do you look at the game and look at players differently than when you were a player on the court and a teammate?
Yeah, it's definitely easier when you're standing on the back or on the side to kind of see things that are open, and sometimes I'm just like, how did we not see that play or something like that? But you got to just remember that when you're out there, things are happening a lot faster, and it's harder to see those gaps in the other team's play. So it's a little bit different view, but it's cool to see from the other side.
Well, when you were playing and we were doing your games, Kathy would say that a lot about you. She would say, how did she not see that?
Oh,
right?
That would not be true.
I mean, if you said it, it probably would be true.
Well, we've just been talking about Nicklin Hames too, how her feet are better, which is getting her to the ball, but now she's making good decisions, and because it allows her to see things, she's in a good position, not reaching out or whatever. So how much difference that makes in decision making?
I think coming in as a freshman and with new coaches and all that, there's always a lot of new technique changes coming from high school to college especially. So I think she's just kind of really embraced those and figured out all the stuff that we do here at Nebraska, and then it kind of frees up her mind from there once she doesn't have to focus so much on technique.
Have those, you know, from your perspective, have you been involved in some of those or witnessed some of those technique changes, and what are the specifics of what she's changed outside of just getting her feet to the ball a lot better?
Right. Well, I obviously worked really closely with Tyler Hildebrand when he was the assistant, and so I got to know his whole system, and that was something that Coach Cook never really knew the little teeny tiny pieces to, every single piece of technique. So he'll just come to me sometimes and ask, why is she doing this or why is she doing that? I'm like, well, that's kind of what we teach her, like certain things that Tyler would implement that Coach didn't necessarily know or understand fully. So it's kind of just like giving him a little bit of peace of mind, knowing that what Nicklin is doing and changing, it will pay off.
6-3 here in set number 3. Nebraska on top 2-0. Back to serve the freshman Kinsey Knuckles. Been impressed with her early.
Yeah, she is a competitor, that is for sure. She's digging a lot of balls.
14 in the match so far.
Good choice, Jazz.
Well, you played with a couple of the greats here who made it to the Final Four 4 straight years, and Kinsey Maloney and that other player who's playing for the USA team now, Michaela Fecke.
Michaela Fecke.
Yeah, her. talk about the 2 freshmen coming in and having big roles and replacing those 2.
Yeah, I think coming in as a freshman, like I said, there's a lot of changes no matter what, and then having to fill some big shoes, that's always really hard. But I think you'd rather step into a role like that where you have great people coming in front of you and trying to live up to those high standards that we have at Nebraska volleyball. I think it's a great position to be in. It gives a lot of pressure, but I think under pressure, that's when we kind of build some of our greatest players.
Well, and we've seen watching the freshmen on the court, they are very poised for being freshmen. I mean, you don't see them reacting, and really getting nervous or confidence. They just keep working at it. You can see they're thinking through it a little bit more maybe, but they really have handled themselves. Knuckles has been very impressive.
What a good tempo shot by Davis. She's been great ripping away at it tonight, but that was a great touch there. 9 kills now for Davis.
Yeah, she's one of those players who has no fear when she is up there swinging that arm.
She's quick, she's explosive, and a great shot here. Nice, she took a little bit off and really controlled it with that wrist.
Right on the back line. Hadovich with the kill. So you think back to your playing career, what maybe was your favorite Nebraska volleyball being part of the team experience moment, and then what was your favorite match? Like what do you remember, which match always sticks out in your mind?
I would say just team-wise and favorite memory overall is just, it always has to do with Halloween, and we would always dress up on Halloween, whether we had a game and we knew it would probably give coach a heart attack, or if we just had practice. But my favorite memory, I think, would be from my senior year when we all dressed up as the coaching staff, and I got to dress up as Coach Cook, and I got a wig and the whole thing. I got like special shoes and socks from equipment just to really nail the look. But that was definitely my favorite memory with the team.
Yeah.
And then I would say my favorite memory volleyball-wise would just be my senior year winning the national championship. Because Coach Cook always says there's only one team that gets to send their seniors off on a win, and I think just ending your senior season on a win is just so special and something that's unmatched.
I think we had pictures of Halloween when you were dressed up as Coach Cook. That was good stuff.
I'm sure they were all over Twitter.
Oh yeah. 4-zip run right now here for UCLA. We're even at 8, and that gets Coach Cook up off the chair. It's easier for him to get up off the chair this year with that new hip that he has too.
Oh yeah.
8-8 is our score here in set number 3. Timeout, Nebraska. We'll be back from Lincoln. Nebraska on top 2-0 here in set number 3. We're tied at 8 apiece. We're talking with two-time All-American Nebraska setter Kylie Miller. Let's revisit some of the great moments with Nebraska's outstanding setter.
Not hard to find a highlight for this young lady, that's for sure. I also, that's great we included that kill in the highlights. This is an offensive-minded young lady here at that setting position. It's just such a complete player, competitor.
How about the two-hand overhand set there?
Oh, yeah.
The overhand bump set out right at the pin.
I think I learned that on the beach, and I don't know if it ever really worked for me.
It's just that offensive mindset, you know? It's always fun as a setter.
Yeah, I was an attacker up until my senior year, and then I ran a true 5-1 and didn't get to swing anymore, and I was like, I need some of this action.
That's right.
Kubik now back to serve. UCLA doing a much better job in the floor defense here in set number 3. 14 digs for UCLA. They had a combined 26 in sets 1 and 2. Nebraska out of the timeout has rattled off a couple straight on the serve of Maddie Kubik.
UCLA's offense also, they at that timeout was hitting 200, so that's the best we've seen from them all night.
Serve is long. Talk about Maddie Kubik a bit in her first year.
Yeah, she is kind of a really scrappy all-around player, and she kind of reminds me of Ani Albright a little bit, just kind of using her arm for her, and she's not the tallest outside, but she can be that full 6 rotation outside for us. But being a freshman, she's got to step into that role quick and not a lot of time to adjust.
Well, and as you mentioned, 6 rotations. They're utilizing her in that back row, and servers are obviously noting she's just a freshman out there and keeping that pressure on her. She seemed to have handled it pretty well so far, at least in this match.
Good block by Schwarzenbach. And into the net. Nebraska extends that lead now to 3 at 12-9. Stivrins back to serve. I would imagine the dynamic of the relationship with Coach Cook changes too when you come back and you're now part of the staff. Talk about that change.
Yeah, it's just funny to hear all the little things that he says just about practice or about the team, and I'm like, oh goodness, what's he
What'd
saying?
you say about us?
I was like, okay, I don't want to know. I'm glad I didn't know any of this, but I mean, that's any coach, and that's anyone who is trying to make a team better. So I personally think it's all hilarious. So I just laugh, and I think maybe it's because I'm new or because it's not directed towards me, but I just tend to laugh at him.
Timeout called. Nebraska extending it down to 4 at 13-9.
Well, and it's got to be fun too. You know some of the things that it's not just, again, the practice, the training or whatever, but the psychological and those kind of things. And Coach Cook is really wants to educate on all facets of the game. Talk about some of those things. Are you learning that component of the game, or as a coach, how important that part is as well?
Yeah, we work with a sports psychologist, obviously a lot of athletes do, and we have one, her name's Brett Haskell. She works with Coach Cook as well, and just hearing her observations, because I talked to her as an athlete, she works at the university, but hearing her observations of the girls and how each girl needs to be talked to and stuff like that, because as a player you kind of just assume, oh, the coach is going to try and talk to everyone the exact same way and treat everyone the same, and then you kind of realize why coaches are like that, and they're different with certain players, and every player has different needs. So it's cool to see that way and how to interact with the girls from a coaching standpoint.
Well, that individualized, you know, some players need to really be confidence built in them, and others need really detailed, technical, descriptive feedback, those kind of things. Others are perfectionists, and you got to kind of settle them down. So all those components, that's a coach has to look at each player individually too, but also then how to bring all that together.
Yeah.
4 consecutive Final Fours for this program. That's a remarkable feat. Talk about, obviously that's one of the goals, and this team sets its own goals, sets its own team vision and theme for the year. What do you think about 29-0-29?
I really like it, and I just think Nebraska, they produce gritty teams and just teams who love to work and who want to make it to Final Fours. And I've been on teams where we say, hey, our goal is to win a national championship. And then I've been on teams where they're like, all right, our goal is to win the Big Ten. And I think it's cool that no matter what the goals are, I feel like Nebraska is always exceeding some type of expectation. And I think that just comes from the players who were here before me and the girls who are here now, and they kind of built that tradition throughout the years.
Mac May with the last kill. Guess if you're UCLA and you want to stop a run, that's where you go. Chang now with the serve. And off the tape, and the ace for Chang.
Since they've switched to Chang running in that setter position, you've really seen them be a little bit more comfortable in their offense. The tempo's been a little bit faster, and they've played a lot better here since she stepped on the floor.
Block.
Great coverage.
Blocked by Sabrina Smith. Good dig of May.
Yes!
Aggressive arm swing into the net call.
Some big swings, great defense there by Kubik in that series.
So Hames now back to serve. Sophomore out of Maryville, Tennessee. Good dig by Knuckles. Sun goes line. Nice up by the Bruins.
Sun working that high hands. Great job there by Simo. Staying deep.
Sun again, third swing in the rally, and Sun puts it away. Maybe one of the longest rallies of the match.
Great job series there by Sun, hitting different locations, changing it up, but staying consistent with her swings.
(15-11) Nebraska. Good short serve. Covered well. Run the quick. Smith could not get it down. Here's Sun with the roll shot. Good recovery there by Smith on that right side. She had cheated to the middle, was able to make the recovery, but Sweet still gets the kill. It's one of the things I think we've seen from Nicklin doing much better this year is reading the block and what the blocker's doing. She's done that well here tonight.
Yeah, I think with the impact of Warren being a first-team All-American last year, I think a lot of teams are really, really focused on her. So I think Nicklin's knowing that and seeing the block going with her and then knowing to go away from that and kind of isolating some shorter blockers maybe. And I think it's kind of what we talked about earlier. Her technique is great and she's definitely confident, so her mind is just so free for her to see those things on the other side of the net.
16-11 Nebraska here in set number 3, trying to close it out in Lincoln. We're back in Lincoln, Nebraska. Some fans making that trip 1,000+ miles from South Alabama. I'm not sure if that rings a bell, South Alabama. But 16-11 here in set number 3. Been a good day here on campus as Nebraska wins its season opener. Black shirts come alive. Special teams had a big touchdown. And here Nebraska is on top of UCLA 2-0 and 16-12 in the third. Back Back to serve now for the Bruins is Mac May. Were you around here when Mac May was camping at Nebraska? She came from Dubuque Wahlert. She was at Nebraska's camp a few times.
Oh, I don't
Heavily
think so.
recruited.
No, I remember, I think it was my senior year. We played UCLA back-to-back. That's where I remember her the most.
Yeah, she was a freshman on that team, yeah.
Yeah.
And already hits a heavy ball.
Yeah.
Great all-around player. Good serve. Pulled back, tipped by Schwarzenbach. Pump set out to the pin, fired away in the kill. And that's Lexi Hadrick, who's come into the game and provided a bit of a spark. She did not play in set number 1, but the freshman's been big here in sets 2 and 3.
We're really seeing, again, UCLA's trying to figure out their lineup, new players, new setters, those kind of things, and it just takes some time, and not expected to have to change it after a setter goes down early in the first set last night.
Especially when you're running such a fast tempo and having to switch setters all the time, and this is the third setter that these girls have played with in 2 nights, so it's hard to find that connection too.
Good up by Knuckles. Out to Sweet, and Jazz Sweet with the kill.
Sweet on her offhand side. That's just a tough rotation for her. She does a nice job here. The ball was in a position in front of her. She got it on her shoulder and then made a great shot.
7th kill for Sweet. She's been low error, none in fact tonight. Hadrick off the block and the kill.
Hadrick doing a nice job there. She had big block in front of her, but uses the hand, tools it off the hand, outside hand of Sweet.
UCLA is one of those really scrappy teams who loves to just use the block and use them as part of their attack.
Nebraska's got such a big block too, so you've got to find ways. If you don't have a space in front of you, you got to use the hands.
There was a great example of Hames not getting a great ball on the pass, but getting her feet to it and able to set the middle.
And Kylie did a great job moving away from her. As the setter comes off the net, the hitter has to go farther away on that quick attack. She did a great job making that adjustment as well.
Those two I know have been working on their connection. Schwarzenbach and Hames seems to be getting better here tonight.
Yeah, it's starting to look really good, and I think anytime we can come off the net a couple feet or even to the 10-foot line and fire in that middle, it's just going to make that block have to stay and not release to any one hitter.
Talk about how, as a setter, how you formulate that a little bit, that connection. That's hard, and that's critical. We talked about, again, that middle being involved opens up the pinhead attackers, but if you can't make that connection or consistently, how difficult that is. So talk about how you work to get that timing.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's just repping it out as much as you can, and obviously at practice, you don't want to be jumping a million times or working on one specific play a million times, but first of all, you just got to create that relationship so the players kind of understand this is when her timing is and stuff like that. But I think secondly, and maybe even more important, is just communication and talking after every single play. And sometimes it's the setter's fault and sometimes it's the middle's fault. And I think you can't be afraid to say, hey, like, I think you need to push it higher on that one. I think I was good. So it's just that communication every single play.
That last ace by Miller was her 4th of the match, and now a career high for Megan Miller. Previous career high was last year. She had 3 against Creighton. Out of the back row, Sun. Nice up by Dodson. One-handed up by Davis. Nebraska keeps it alive and falls on the Bruins side. Point Nebraska.
That's one of those gritty plays that this team loves to make. I love seeing Nicklin up at the net. She's got a big blocker in front of her, but she's not scared at all.
And there's some fire in that young lady, that's for sure. And she's, like you said, she's fearless. She goes up strong, no hesitation, thinking, should I not? It's an always go, foot on the gas pedal.
Man in the back row doesn't terminate. Sun does. 3 away from the sweep at 22-16. Nebraska in the middle of a 4-zip run here with Miller at the service line. Now make it 5 in a row. Kelly, thanks for joining us. It was great having you.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good to have you back in the program as well.
Thank you.
And best of luck. We hope it's a great year.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm sure you do too.
Just good to have you back.
That's right.
Thank you. It's so good to be back.
That was Kelly Hunter, Nebraska All-American setter, joining us, and 2017 Big Ten setter of the year, who's now back with the Nebraska team. Two away is Nebraska at 23-17. Hames on the slide, Stivrins off the block. Match point Nebraska, 24-17.
Look at that slide, just great timing there and explosiveness by Stivrins. She's tough.
Maddie Kubik to serve. Mac May with the kill. Match point number 2 for Nebraska. Anna Dodson will serve. Overpass. Hames sends it back to May again, and May delivers.
Bruins definitely going to May. We knew they would. That's their go-to girl.
On the slide. Pulled back in by May, free ball over. Hames, the pin, finished by Alexi Sun.
12th kill for the night for Sun. Great way to finish off. Great performance by her tonight. Hitting right around that 300 mark.
So the Huskers go to 2-0 on the season here early on. Go 2-0 in the Husker Invitational and sweep UCLA for the 3rd consecutive time here in Lincoln. 25-19 in the 3rd is the final. Couple of good wins to open up the season. Last night over ranked Creighton, and tonight a win over UCLA. Big matches, though, coming up for Nebraska. Their next win will be in just about a week and a half, as #1 ranked and defending national champ Stanford will be here to face the Huskers.
Really good weekend here. Got a chance to learn some things about, themselves. I think that's always good about these early tournaments, the opportunity to kind of see where your weak areas are, where we need to focus our attention.
We're joined now by the head coach of Nebraska, John Cook. Coach, seemed like a much more efficient night tonight.
Yeah, we settled down tonight, and that's what I've been seeing in practice. That's what I saw this summer. We did. You can see we're a really good serving team. We weren't last night. So I just think first match, jitters, playing Creighton, there was a lot of hype, and we settled down, did a nice job tonight. We had a chance to prepare for UCLA, and I thought our team did a really good job executing our game plan.
Very balanced offense tonight. Talk about Nicklin Hames making good decisions, really including everybody in the offense.
Yeah, Nicklin, if we can get her the ball, she can do great things. And, so when we were getting the ball in a good position, our offense was humming. We got to pass better, and we got to continue. UCLA is a very good serving team. Creighton's a very good serving team.
Yeah.
I hope all these teams we play aren't this good, but we'll adjust. We got really 2 freshmen and a sophomore passing out there, Capri sometimes, and Lexi. So, they'll get experience and get better as we go.
John, I know you're looking for more consistency out of Capri Davis tonight. 9 kills, 1 error, very efficient. Talk about her play the last 2 nights.
Yeah, I feel like if we keep getting her in these matches, and she'll build her confidence, and we've seen it in practice. I still want her to, eliminate the silly errors, which she did have very few tonight. 1 error, that's a great night. And I think she can kill balls over a block, and we don't have a lot of players that can do that.
John, thanks for joining us.
All right, thanks.
Nebraska head coach John Cook, 2-0 on the season. His Huskers getting ready now to hand out the awards after this Husker Invitational. They hand out all tournament teams. Nebraska goes 2-0 in the tournament, as does Baylor, which came up with a couple of sweeps over UCLA and Creighton this week as well. Well, thanks for those of you joining us along BTN. I'm Larry Putney for Kathy Wieskamp. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching us on NET, come back. We're going to close it out from here at the Devaney Sports Center in Lincoln.